Hi, I'm Claire and this is my March book haul. This month I bought 3 graphic novels and 5 books, and I was also sent 6 more books for review. We have got a lot to get through, so let's get on with it. First, I bought 3 books for the Feminist Orchestra, which is the feminist book club that Jean from Bookish thought has been running, and the first book was I Call Myself a Feminist, the view from 25 women under 30. This is a collection of articles that was edited by Victoria Pepe, Rachel Holmes, Amy Annette, Elise Stride and Martha Moss. Now, I have just read this and I've talked about it in my wrap-up. This isn't one that I'm going to talk about a lot more. It's just a bunch of articles by women under 30 discussing feminism, what it means to them to be a feminist, how they came by calling themselves feminists, that kind of thing. In April, the Feminist Orchestra is reading A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, so I got myself a copy of that. I've heard a lot about this essay, but I've never actually read it. It's kind of a really important piece of feminist literature, and also about creative writing, about what women need in order to be able to follow their creativity and why that's generally stifled in our society. And as a woman and someone who does creative writing, I thought I really should own a copy of this, since I think I've been quite remiss in not reading it before now. I also got Alice Walker's You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down at the same time. This is a collection of Alice Walker's short stories. They are 14 stories that I think are very much about the experience of African American people in the States, and that is definitely an experience that I do not have. And this one, the Feminist Orchestra will be reading in May, if I'm not mistaken. Next, I went to Waterstones, where they had a buy one, get the other one half price on a lot of children's books, so I picked up First Class Murder and Jolly Foul Play by Robin Stevens. They are book 3 and 4 in the Murder, Most and Ladylike series. I read First Class Murder in February. I loved it, gave it 5 stars. I talked about it in my wrap-up. The copy that I read belonged to a friend of mine, but I already own 1 and 2 and I wanted to buy 4, so I thought I might as well pick up the 3rd one and have a full set. This is an absolutely adorable series about 2 schoolgirl detectives in the 1930s, Daisy and Hazel. They go to a boarding school together. In the first novel, Murder, Most and Ladylike, they solve the murder of one of the mistresses of, and then the second book, Arsenic for Tea, is a classic close the house murder mystery. And then in the 3rd book, First Class Murder, they have to solve a murder on the Orient Express and also find a spy. In this new book, Jolly Foul Play, Daisy and Hazel go back to school for the new term, and they meet the new head girl and the new prefects. And it turns out that they're all bullies and really unpleasant girls and not at all good eggs. And then the head girl gets murdered and they have to solve the murder as always. And finally, I went and splurged on more graphic novels because I have a problem. I got Giant Days Volume 1, which is an adorable kind of coming-of-age college university story about 3 flatmates and friends who kind of have to navigate university shenanigans together, and I really enjoyed this one. I've already finished it. I'm already looking forward to buying the 2nd volume, which is coming out really shortly if it's not out yet. This was just great. It made me laugh, it gave me some feels. I am definitely buying the next volume as soon as I can get my hands on it. Then I got Descender Volume 1, 10 stars by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. This one I got because people were talking about it a bunch on Booktube SFF and saying that it was really great, and it's nominated for the Booktube SFF Awards, and I read it and it's really great. It's about a world in which there used to be a lot of AIs everywhere, involved in every aspect of life, until there was an attack by some giant mecha AI type things that killed a lot of people, and then there was a political backlash and most of the robots got melted. and so now there's not that many AIs anymore, except that this one AI called Tim, who appears to be a small boy, and the government comes to pick him up because he's actually really important, but they have to get there before the smugglers do. Then I also picked up Lumberjanes Volume 2, Friendship to the Max. This one I have not read yet, but it's a continuation of the first Lumberjanes, Beware the Kitten Holy, which is about a group of Girl Scouts in the forest, just hanging out at camp and getting into a lot of shenanigans and adventures. I got it because the first one was adorable, and even though I thought that the first one could have had a better overall story arc, I still wanted to give this one a shot. So I'll be reading that soon, and hopefully when it's done I can feature it in one of my comic book mini review videos. Then we get to the giant pile of stuff that I was sent for review. The first book that I got for review is The Dragon's Blade by Michael R. Miller. This is an independently published book that I got for review from the author. This is a universe in which dragons once flew in the sky like what you imagine a dragon to be, but then they were cursed by demonic forces to be put into human form, and since then the demonic forces have tried to obliterate all the dragons until they managed to wound very badly the prince of the dragons, and the only thing that he could do to save himself was to cast a very dangerous spell that would make him reborn as a child, as a human baby. And now it's 20 years later, and Darnwir, the Prince of Dragons, is finally of age to wield the dragon's blade, and no one else can do it apart from him, and he has to save everything. I'm excited to try this one because I don't think that's a take on dragons that I've really seen before, and you know how I feel about dragons. I just need to try all the dragon things. Next, I got a nice surprise package from Hot Escape, and in it I had Time Bomb and Second Lives by Scott K. Andrews. Now this is a time travel thriller adventure book about three teenagers, one from the present, one from the past, and one from the future, who all kind of end up at the same time and have to kind of figure out why all the timelines are messed up and what's going on before really bad things happen. And Second Lives is the second book in a series, and this one's a nice little arc right there, and it says to change the future they need to face their pasts. I don't want to talk too much about the second books because I don't want to give away any spoilers. This sounds really cool. I actually really want to read this because I enjoy time travel. The next book I received I got from the distributor Turnaround UK, and it is Morty by Robert Rapino, and this is published by Soho Press. Now I was super excited to receive it because it's got a cat on the cover, and I like cats and the stories with cats in them, and it's also got this like really cool flap on the front that opens up, and it's got this anthill illustration inside because it's apparently about a war with no name where the goal is human extinction, and apparently the things that want human extinction are sentient ants because, you know, wonderful sci-fi about murderous animals. This actually sounds like it's going to be really fun because the titular character, Morty, is a former house cat turned war hero. I kid you not. This just sounds amazing, and I want to read it. And finally, I received two books from Oxford University Press. The first one is Nancy Parker's Diary of Detection by Julia Lee. The people at OUP contacted me after I talked about the Murder Most Unladylike books by Robin Stevens, and they said Nancy Parker's Diary of Detection is kind of similar, except that it kind of takes place below stairs. It's one of these where it's also a historical perspective, but it's the main character, Nancy Parker, is a maidservant, and that really appealed to me. I feel like a servant would be really well placed to know everything, to get all the gossip that they needed to solve a murder, and then there'd be a lot of conflict about how do you accuse someone who is basically your employer of murder if you need to. And I thought this would be really interesting. It also looks really cute, and the kind people at OUP also sent me a copy of Railhead by Philip Reeve, which I actually really wanted to read. This is kind of like a space opera, but instead of having a spaceship, there's a space train, and I am so there for that. That sounds like a really exciting premise. And my goodness, look at this hardback. Have you ever seen like a cool and naked hardback? It's like all silvery and stuff. It's all silvery, and then the spine of it says Railhead. This is a really like well done book, like really beautifully finished, and then you've got some the same motif at the beginning of chapters. I'm just really excited about this book as a book to own because it's so pretty, but also space trained. So that's it. These were all the books that I acquired in March. I am not going to hold them all up again because my arms still ache from when I took the picture for this thumbnail. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books or if you're interested in checking out any of them. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out the sidebar right here for more videos. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for more videos from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.